Check 1, 2. I am live, Bradley J. Welcome to the program. I'm experimenting with, uh, I should not bury the lead, as they say. Let me tell you that I am deeply concerned that the American experiment is winding down. And it's basically because there is no truth. The truth is dead. This is not a new thing. Nations rise and fall. And usually when they fall, there's a lot of propaganda involved. And that's what we have now. We don't get our news from trusted sources. Many of you don't. And I don't either, because sometimes I think it's trusted and it's not. I'm not just blaming you. So we get false information and we act on that information. We meaning everyone. And what you get is January 6th, an attempt to overthrow the government. And it was scarily successful. So if you have a comment, that's great. Let me know. I fear that the experiment is over. Well, it's not actually over yet. I see it lasting another 3 election cycles before something serious happens. If things degrade as quickly as they seem to be degrading, 3 election cycles might bring about the end of the American experiment as we know it. It's already different after January 6th. It's hard to believe that happened. Good to see you, Reagan. The reason I fear for the American experiment is the end of truth. Dictators, people like Saddam Hussein and bad leaders, they control the media for a reason, to keep people from getting the truth. Now that's happening everywhere, even without a single dictator making it happen. It's happening because we can't sort out the truth from the lies. We can't sort out the truth from the nut jobs. Even well-meaning people are getting bad information. And the bad information they get puts fear into them. And people will act very badly when they, are being affected by fear. So without truth, the elections are going to fail. This is what I'm very afraid of. And the peaceful transfer of power will fail. And down the road, we will actually have a civil war. I'll spell it out in a little more detail. Good afternoon, Nancy Dole. Kind of hot in here. Too hot today, right? We saw what happened this time. The results of the election were, even though they were clear, were challenged, and violence erupted as a result. And that's just the first go around. That's round one. I really feel it. Now the truth is gone. Elections will fail. Transfer of power will fail, and a civil war will result. At some point, a candidate who tried what Trump tried will succeed in nullifying an election. And at that point, whoever truly won the election will have to decide whether to give up or challenge it. And let's take a look at January 6th if it had gone differently. Let's say you have three or so more election cycles and things ramp up each time. At some point, the Capitol could be overrun. At some point, lawmakers could be murdered. At some point, there could be armed insurrection and a simple refusal to acknowledge the election results. And then whoever's in charge has to decide to let it go and step down or fight. And when that happens, you have a civil war. The civil war will be decided by the military, and the side that wins will be the side that the military sides with. If the far right wins and the military sides with them, it'll be a very short affair because the right has all the weapons, and if they have the military as well, it'll be over very quickly. If it goes the other way around, if the right tries to overthrow election results and therefore the government, they have all the weapons. If the military sides with the left, then you're going to have a long, drawn out and bloody event. Phil offers suggestions. Yeah. You know what, Phil? Good question. We'll actually have to talk about that. Here's one thing. It won't be one big thing, but if an organization, there could easily be a law that says if an organization calls themselves a news organization, in order to do that, you have to tell the verifiable truth, and you have to show your sources. You have to be able to prove something is true. And if that organization, whether it's the New York Times or any other organization that calls themselves a news organization will lose their right to exist, both on television, on the internet. Sorry, if you're called news and you tell lies, you're gone. You can't exist. Well, you might say, well, there still will be organizations that promote untruths. Okay, but they're not. If you really want the truth, you have to look to someone who is cleared, who is known to tell the truth. If you get your news from some organization that can't get registered because they lie, then that's on you. Now, it's a free-for-all. Nobody knows what's up. And of course, news organizations can be wrong. Here's another thing. Remove opinion from the news. Now, it used to be facts in the days of Walter Cronkite and opinion. And there would be some at the end. They would say, this is the opinion of the manager of the station. It was clearly defined. Now, you could try to take the judgmental words out of it. Yes, this is going to be hard to do it, but hard to do, I know. But that's too fuzzy. I'll stick right now with, if you're a news organization and you lie, you lose your right to exist. Facebook, the internet, everybody will just shut you down. You call yourself a news organization, you can go online, but you can't be called a news organization, not and get the official stamp. And to get the truth, you watch organizations with the official stamp. There you go. That's mine. Anybody else got one? All right. I don't know how many bad people, how many malactors do so willingly, knowing that they're acting on bad information and just having been empowered by the mass, or whether they genuinely think that the election was stolen. I feel like a lot of those people genuinely believed that the election was stolen. If you look at around the world, in history, when the truth goes, it's over. So that's enough for today. But I'm worried in about three election cycles, or at any time. But I think by 3 election cycles, you could get a movement with enough momentum to actually overthrow an election. I was avoided by a hair's breadth this time. And it's a short hop from that to actual civil war. There you go. Now, on the brighter side, first, look at the lighting in here. It's a little weird. I'm just using the window, no additional light. It's a little off, a little dark. It got a little darker because the sun went down. On a brighter note, and this is off topic. That doesn't matter. I mean, I can't write everything down. I vowed to make pasta, and now I'm about to show you the pasta. I made it from scratch with double aught flour, Caputo double aught flour, 00 flour, and 2 eggs. And it's really, they say it's easy. It's easy. It is not easy. It's physically demanding. I'm tuckered out. And the first time you do it, you'll probably do it wrong because it's kind of hard. I've done it 3 times. Finally, it's a little better. There are stores where you can buy it actually homemade, still soft. I think that's the way to go. It's only like $4. So, can you see it? No, not really. Maybe it needs more light. Let me shine a light on it. No, that doesn't do it. I'll just get it close to the camera. Can you see? It looks kind of all weird. There. This is the semi-thin stuff. And I think I cooked that about 2 minutes. What do you think on that thickness? And then it took like an hour and a half to make all this. This is the thin stuff. I cut it by hand, and it came out pretty well. I myself, if I were to just pig out, I like the fat, thick, chewy stuff, which is this. You can kind of see, right? Whoa. So I had a big day today, and it's important to do your things in order. I cleaned the toilet big time, scrubbed the heck out of it, dismantled it, took her down, scrubbed it, and I made pasta. And you're saying, well, I hope he made the pasta first. Yes, I did. I carefully did things in the hygienic order. This is the first thing I did. Also, made a video, and it's a video of a Greek town. I would love for you to sign up for the the YouTube channels. I'm approaching 1,000. Maybe you'll be the 1,000th person. Also, I'm working on a song. I've been remiss in working on music. One quick thing about the videos, all of them, unless there's a lot of ambient sound, I put in music now. I was watching Rick Steves and thought, he's got music. I should have music too. And I want you to know I haven't included this in the descriptions, but it's all original music. All original. It takes a long time. One fun way to do it is I have a lot of songs with vocals and drums. I'll go back to the session, mute out the drums and the vocals, and just use the non-percussive sound because it gets a little busy with the percussive sound. Let's take a look at these and go. It says, Mark, if I had known you're going to be so grim, I would have taken my CBD THC gummy earlier. Let me comment on that. I hate gummies. They make me stupid. I've had them. I had them with a friend. Who was I with? Oh, and we were talking, and it was almost like a Saturday Night Live skit. But we're talking about movies. And one of us would say, that movie with, that guy, the guy from Friends, somebody super famous that on a normal day you would know. And we were like, I don't know. He was in this other movie that had, this other guy. It was on and on. Many connections, couldn't figure out any of them. And the next day, I remembered them all, and I blame it on the gummy. I think there's something inherently different about the absorption of the THC and the action of it. I think gummies make me stupid. And I don't like the feel. I think that the feeling is qualitatively different. Phil Kate, smart guy. I already answered this. Are you offering suggestions? I offered one, but that's a good point. What do we? Oh, the other suggestion is, and this, this is kind of hard. The left needs to kind of get a helmet. The left is completely unarmed. The far right is salivating for a day when they can empty their magazines. Salivating in a righteous cause. And the left's got no weapons. So liberals, what you need to do is become responsible weapons owners and learn how to use the darn things properly. Get really good at it. Go to competitions. Get good. If for no other reason, the larger sense of security for the nation. It'd be a lot safer if there's sort of mutually assured destruction. Now, one side has all the power. Hegemony. I think I used the word correctly. The right has complete hegemony over the left because the right has all the weapons. I'm so glad I got to use that word. If I'm wrong on that, Lou Duffy, easier than for all to remain uncivil. Lou, I can tell by looking at you that you're a wild man. And I think you're referring to having a civil war easier than for all to remain uncivil. I got to go ahead and say that might be a nutty thing to say. Let's take a look at the American Civil War. You think it was better to have that than for people to just be uncivil? I'm thinking just some incivility would have been better than the war. Mark, we'll do these and we'll be done. That said, and I hate the cliche, your theory is not nearly as far-fetched as as it would have seemed pre-Trump. No kidding. It is astounding, and you see it throughout history, at how malleable the human brain is. When Stalin died, after being responsible for millions and millions of civilian deaths, people wept. Many, many, many people wept. So I don't think anybody ever went broke underestimating humankind. And so what are you going to do? Get a go bag, everybody? I used to look at those online, these pre-packaged go bags with survival stuff. Where will you go? Reagan says our government, I already had that up there. I'm off the news, said David Wall. Remove opinion and inflection from the news. Yeah, how do you enforce that? Well, I offered one. There's a clear difference between an observable fact and the opposite of that. And if somebody calls himself a news organization and offers up the opposite of truth or anything but the truth, they should have their credentials to be news people and a news organization removed. And that goes for anybody. Honest mistake, that's one thing. But then you're going to really be careful about guessing. Let's see. Oh, yeah. You remember what Barnum said? No one ever went broke underestimating the intelligence of the American public. Yeah. And it's not just the American public. People are all over the world. We talk about Americans, but don't tell me that most of the world isn't less informed, more racist, rottener than we are. We see our problems because we're here all the time. We don't see their problems. If you go and live in another country, I'm sure that the government's shady in many cases. Not everyone. In Scandinavia, they trust their government enough to give them much of their money in taxes, and they're happy. They like what the government does. The government actually cares about, it seems to care about the welfare of the people. In our country, unfortunately, that seems to be the exception rather than the rule. Here, it's all about being in the club, about being in the legislative club where you get special treatment, special food, special transportation, air famous, etc. That seems to trump everything, if you will. Official stamp from who? Brian, good question, but it's pretty, you don't even need to have a lot of, and we can figure out who, we can make you part of the organization. The official stamp from an organization that will not really decide anything. They will just observe. And it's clear when something's true and when it's not. And the organization could, it would not be that difficult. I could do it. If somebody said, well, I don't need to go into the examples. Nancy, Mark, I hate this everybody's a journalist now argument. I've spent 30 years working to be a better journalist. Just because you can link to something doesn't make a journalist. No. Unfortunately, Mark, when you were a journalist, or maybe you still are, there used to be a vetting process. If you were wrong, you got fired. Now, you don't. You used to have to get vetted. You'd get out of college, you'd practice writing the news, and then they tell you to write the truth. You'd be good at it. That was part of the thing. And you couldn't have a voice until you passed many layers of truth-telling tests. Not only saying what you know to be true, but doing the research to find out what's true and being able to prove what's true and giving your sources. And now with video, it's even easier. Although they say the camera doesn't lie, the camera lies wicked. I'm going on longer than I thought or wanted to. 3 general election cycle. Yes, 12 years. The pasta apocalypse is coming. Yes. Where's the word pasta come from, by the way? Think of the word, other words that contain that. Paste. Pasta paste. Pastry. There's something in the root that common to all of those. It may be wheat or flour, which my brother mentioned. Bradley, I lost my appetite after the revolution rant. Well, you can call it a rant, or you can just call it somebody saying what's likely to be true. I mean, it doesn't seem that far-fetched to you, does it? January 6th happened, and they were empowered. They had huge success. And many of them, their only regret is that they failed. The pasta apocalypse, of course, will be called the Pastalypse. Maybe. Okay, Lou. I don't know what means. Does it mean good? Or I'm thinking. All right, appreciate this. I have to go probably sit out in the backyard and enjoy some wine. What do you call it when you mix wine and orange juice? Sangria. And hope that this nasty hot weather is gone. When fall first hits, I rejoice and I lose all ability to go back to the heat, which has happened. Today I just stayed in. Tomorrow it's going to be cold and beautiful. Oh, one other thing, very briefly. You wouldn't believe how I'm walking the walk when it comes to getting rid of stuff and minimizing. You should try it. I got rid of some clothing items that seemed that I never would. And I just rethought everything. There was this Ralph Lauren plaid shirt with leather elbow things. I thought, never. You know what? Gone, baby, gone. You might want to try minimizing. It is emancipating, both physically and mentally. If you haven't worn it in a year, bye-bye. If you've lost weight, bye-bye, because it doesn't look good when you lose weight and wear the same old big clothes. I'll leave you with one thing that I should have done differently in my life. After I became an adult, I should never have bought bigger clothes. We've all come to this point in our lives, a point in our lives where we thought, wow, these pants are tight. What happened? Did they shrink? No. That is the bell should go off at that point. You gained weight. And if you get bigger pants, it's going to happen again and again and again. What you need to do is nip that in the bud, to be cliche. And instead of buying bigger pants, lose weight. That's when you do it, because at that point, you'll probably only have to lose 5 pounds. But you start notching up and you're looking at losing 40 pounds. All right, I went way too long. Thank you and good night.